Hi, my name is Vanessa Cornelius, and this is case study number 3. So again, about my client, it is a 7-year-old male with autism spectrum disorder, global developmental delay, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and avoidant and or restrictive food intake disorder. The communication style he currently has is vocal verbal. He previously mastered PECS, but no longer uses it since he is speaking. I also wanted to touch base before I go into training the staff on the procedure. I just wanted to remind you again, we use differential reinforcement of alternative behavior. So with tangible access, we utilize at the onset of the intervention to increase demanding since it was such a high preferred item, and then we systematically faded it out. For positive reinforcement, so gaining the desired attention, we implemented it with physical praise or tickles because the client really responded well to that. So we did that whenever he was not engaging in screaming behavior to get our attention, when a calm body and a quiet voice was observed, and then any time that attention was acquired appropriately, we went ahead and reinforced it with the above details. So to train our staff, we are implementing behavior skills training. And so just to have it broken down into 4 parts for better understanding is it's broken down by instruction, so providing clear and concise explanations of any skill or concept that you are planning to teach. The modeling phase, you are demonstrating the skill or procedure for the staff to observe you. Then moving forward to the rehearsal phase, so the individual would be practicing the skill and then receiving the feedback, which leads us to the last portion. So providing positive reinforcement and corrective guidance was used for this process. I also wanted to break down each section, specifically how we implemented this with the staff. So for the instruction phase, we thought it was important to fully explain differential reinforcement of alternative behavior and how it works, so that way that foundation was there and the understanding of why we were doing something was very important to teach the staff. And so again, DRA is just reinforcing desired alternative behaviors while withholding reinforcement to the problem maladaptive behavior. In this case, it would be screaming. So we also wanted to make sure that the alternative behavior that we were reinforcing served the same function as the problem behavior. We then move forward to provide clarification of the steps, so that included defining the screaming behavior, including examples and non-examples, as well as what the alternative behavior could possibly look like for them to understand when they should reinforce. So we had that criteria for them, and then also provided the details for the timing and frequency for reinforcing the alternative behavior, so that way the screaming eventually would decrease with this intervention. The next phase is the modeling, so demonstration of DRA in realistic role play situations. So it's done in person. We did try to show video modeling because that is a suitable option. However, we just found that the staff learned more so when the role play was in front of them. During that role play experience, key points were highlighted, and it was very important to correctly identify the alternative behavior, so that way we knew that the reinforcement was then being delivered immediately to have the best outcomes. Moving on to the next phase, we have rehearsal. So the role play practice, the staff was instructed to practice implementing DRA in simulated scenarios, and then we had them rotate through different situations, such as when the alternative behavior is being displayed correctly or inaccurately, even identifying the maladaptive behavior that we were trying to decrease, just to ensure that the understanding was there to move forward with this intervention. We also try to utilize real life application within the practice. So, in any possible moment, trying to rehearse with clients under supervision to provide the more realistic situations for them to gain a better, further, deeper understanding. And that's how we did that phase. For the last phase, we have the feedback portion. So it was important to provide constructive feedback. So after each rehearsal, immediate and specific feedback was provided. So that way it was in real time and it can be adjusted to the correct way of implementing in that moment. And then we made sure to highlight what the staff was doing well, such as providing that immediate reinforcement, and then also provided or suggested improvements, such as more consistent identifications of both the alternative behavior and even the maladaptive behavior. So with the next portion, it was utilizing positive reinforcement. So we were reinforcing their use of skill correctly and encouraged questions or clarifications. And there is a token system that we utilized with the staff. And so whenever they were doing things exactly the way they should be done, we provided them with a token, and ultimately the token economy, they were able to exchange it for something of their desire. And then for the maintenance of this section, we just repeated and refined steps. So continue to rehearse and then give the feedback. So that way the staff always felt confident and competent, most importantly. For the validity and integrity of this intervention, we have not actually measured it yet, but there are plans currently to measure it moving forward. So I wanted to give you an idea of what that would look like for us. So for the validity, we will be providing one of these three options. So doing knowledge tests pre and post the DRA implementation teaching. And then we could also do performance accuracy, and then using outcome-based measures. And so if we were to observe a decrease in the screaming behavior and an increase in the alternative behaviors, such as demanding or raising their hand, anything to gain our attention in an appropriate way, we would know that the validity of this intervention is successful. For the integrity portion, we will more than likely do the direct observation and inter-observer agreement. So that way during a 2-hour supervision, we can do the first hour of IOA and then use the last hour to go over the feedback and then have role play scenarios if needed for booster supervision trainings. And then another option that we could do would be an observation checklist. Thank you. I hope you've enjoyed this presentation.